Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another DADCAW. It's the 10th of December, 2020. It happens to be 5:37 in the evening. I say evening even though I'm not actually sure what the technical cutoff is for evening, but it's been getting dark here at like 3 p.m., so I can't ever really say it's not evening, pretty much, because I wake up and I work on stuff, and then by the time I'm done, the sun has set. So make sure you're taking vitamin D supplements. That's all I got to say at the beginning of this video. Did want to talk about my responsibilities as a content creator, which is, of course, the title of this particular DADCAW. It's been a while since I've been able to talk in a rather off-the-cuff manner, at least public-facing content in this channel. So I wanted to, pick a topic that was topical, that was something that has been going on lately. I've been doing map-related and CSGO-related streams, and I keep thinking back to the admittedly limited, but still tangible impact that I've been able to have, where even people who are significantly more influential than myself in the space are able to perhaps be spurred on to make certain kinds of content, or the content that they would have made already gets made in a slightly different way just because I've interacted with them or I've said stuff. And I've realized that as I get more into the direction of a content creator in the CSGO space, something that's occurred to me is that people who just leave a comment on a YouTube video or a message in your Twitch chat might start you off on a conversation that is maybe different or maybe tangential to what you were initially planning on talking about. They might spur you on to make a different kind of video. It's more than just giving you an idea directly and saying, what do you think about making a video on this? It's also just like the fact that you engage with an audience. It kind of gives you a different perspective, and sometimes you get some ideas from that then turn into content, right? A lot of the Crow Pill videos on this channel have been from engagements that I've had over the Discord server or in response to comments on other Crow Pill videos. In some ways it's sort of self-propagating. And obviously this is a phenomenon that isn't limited to the CSGO channel. Obviously, if I'm doing a mod stream and somebody comes in and asks me a question, it might not have ever been a question or might not have ever been on a topic that I would have ever discussed if I had been doing a recorded stream session, or if I had just been sitting there listening to music or something while working offline. I may never have thought about that particular argument, but obviously the influence of the audience in that respect is tangible in that area. And it's just not something I've fully thought about in this context, in the context of a responsibility that I might have. And I mean, the topic of the responsibilities of a content creator is very broad. It doesn't really file you down into one specific thing. But I've just realized that I guess content creation tends to be seen as, for people who are just consumers of it, people who just purely take, they listen to the content or they watch the content, or they engage with the content in the respect of actually consuming it, but they don't necessarily comment or make their voices heard. Like that's me for most things. I think that's most of us for most things. Like most YouTube videos we watch, we don't comment. We probably don't even leave a rating, even if we enjoyed it, just because extra clicks in 2020. Are you fucking kidding me? And then on top of that, you have the idea of going in and for the content that you do comment on, is it one video out of every 10 from that channel? There's very rarely will you see a user who comments on every single video they watch, or comments on every single video from a specific creator even that they watch. So just every video of this kind, right? It takes a very different, a specific kind of video to make a specific user comment and engage with in that respect. And so because I am also very much like that, I have been having to remind myself to leave more comments, because as a content creator myself, if I'm putting my YouTube comment out there in a small way, that actually promotes my channel in theory, if people decide to click on the profile. And even beyond that, it's also if I see a video and I know that this is a content creator that I personally maybe I've talked to them or something, leaving a comment in that sense is also, additionally, it's a sign of, I guess it's a sign of solidarity or support, because a lot of the times comments are apparently driving the algorithm. I still haven't vetted that information. That's just what everybody says, is likes and comments drive the algorithm. So in that kind of sense, I've seen a lot of people just leave essentially empty comments that are supposed to drive the algorithm in that respect. I try to actually leave a comment if I'm going to bother writing something. I try to not have it be, just algorithm or whatever the fuck. I try to also have it be something that's actually related to the content. Ideally, it would even start a conversation or make people think about stuff, and maybe that would turn out to result in more comments there. Like, then everybody's benefiting because more people are interacting with my comment on their channel, and their channel gets more comments in general. So like, there's all of these different thought processes that go into it, but I've had to remind myself to leave comments because it's just so out of character for me. I almost never leave comments, and unless it's like something that I actually want to say. And most of the time, I might like share the video and discuss it on Discord, which is another way of supporting, actually, if you share a video that is particularly interesting and you have something to say on top of it to start a conversation using the video as a reference. That can be really useful in that respect. But when it comes to like me transitioning from consuming content to creating content, or like just to think about who I am in both of those roles as a consumer and also as a creator, it's interesting how, because I don't have the same financial investment in creating content, I'm just not aware of the game rules, really. I don't know how the game is played to the same degree. Like, somebody out there, there's tons of people out there. Every single video, at the end of it, they find some way to say, like and subscribe, share the video, donate me on Patreon, all that stuff. So, like, that's a case where, obviously, like, some of that stuff just doesn't apply to me. I don't have a Patreon. But for pretty much every video or every stream, I could be like, hey, thanks everybody who followed. Remember, follow the stream or something like that. I could be essentially saying that shit, which is, it feels very unnatural for me. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video as well, just to sort of like force myself to talk about this sort of subject. Because when I'm thinking about making like these reminders in a way, I would at least want them to be funny or something. It goes back to the idea of leaving a comment on somebody else's video. I want it to have objective value, even if the real reason that I was initially writing the comment was just to bump them up in the algorithm, to give them a comment, to give their video more engagement. I at least want to do more than just that. I also want to put together a set of ideas that might spur on more comments, or at least give that video creator more interesting feedback than they might have gotten otherwise. And it's so epic, I think, when you can do that, when you can somehow do both. It goes back to my thought process when you're trying to critically analyze a component of a video game or a movie or whatever. If there's like a line of dialogue in a movie that does some exposition, but also gives you some character development or builds some understanding of a character. It's like, if it does more than one thing at once, it's actually doing more in less space. So it's got more value in that respect. And that's a case where, like, if I can have a comment where really all I wanted to do is write a comment for the purpose of writing a comment, for the comment's sake, but I can also like make somebody laugh or spark an interesting discussion, then it's like multi-purpose comment in that respect. So in the same way, if I was going to try to tell people to follow the stream or to like and subscribe, I wouldn't want to just do it at the end, be like, if you like this video, you should take it, give it a thumbs up or whatever, let me know. I would want it to be like funny or entertaining or even educational. Like, I don't know, like there's only a limited facet of things that you can accomplish with something as very specific as that. And it's not the same thing as a comment where you can kind of dress it up in the idea of it can actually be an objectively valuable comment, even if you initially only wrote it because you wanted to leave a comment in the first place. Whereas reminding the viewers to like, subscribe, donate you on Patreon doesn't really follow the same pattern. I'm not really sure how you could have that be an objectively valuable experience. You could do it with jokes, like it could be really funny, but as off the cuff funny as I sometimes can be, like when I watch back my own videos and laugh, it's usually because I did something, like I just said something insane in the moment, and not because I had some prescripted like joke that I wrote out or whatever. So like that's just a creative area where I have to sort of train my muscles in that respect, like train my brain to start writing that kind of shit down, I guess. But that's a case where I don't want to just be like, not only as generic as all the other creators who just say like, comment, and subscribe, but it's also like, I don't know. There's strategies where you can do it. Like if you're going to try to bait for comments, you might ask the viewers questions, right? Like towards the end of this video, or I guess right now, I can just say, what do you guys think the responsibilities of a content creator really are? Or what did this video make you think about? Like I can ask a pointed question that can, in theory, provide actual discussion and is connected to the video. And then again, I am actually interested in what people have to say. And apparently, if they comment, it's better for the algorithm or something. So I win out in both cases because they comment, I get to read interesting opinions, and maybe comment replies back. And I also get a better algorithmic response to the video or whatever the fuck. So like, yeah, there's all sorts of benefits that could be done there. It just feels like when you're deploying any sort of system, any sort of line in your video that's meant to be like that, I don't know. If it's not funny, or if it's not like got some other purpose to it, like the comment bait thing that I was just talking about, where you are actually encouraging people to share their opinions because you're curious about it, then it's so difficult to make it feel normal or natural. It's so difficult to make it feel not cringe, not uncomfortable, because I'm not the guy to advertise my own content, really. Like I would always just assume that I would come across as annoying, because that's how I feel when other content creators do it too. Even though I know they have to in a way, I still feel like surely you could have found a better way to do it. Like I watched Thorin, who's big in the CS space and some other esports as well, and he always has his advertisements actually be really funny. And that's how, like, I'm sort of like subscribing to that school of thought. Where like if you're going to advertise for something, if you're going to shell out for like, comment, and subscribe, he even does that for his videos. He'll be like, if you really like watching my videos where I destroy certain pro teams like TSM or Astralis, you should, maybe you like this video. Maybe you subscribe to make sure you come back for more. Maybe you leave a comment because you're so mad or something. Like that shit's funny. So he's adding value to it. But so he's putting his own spin on it, basically, is what I'm saying. And the more that I guess I just need to start doing that a little bit more often, is like thinking about pithy one-liners or whatever. Or if I decide to record a DADCAW that's about a topic like this, for example, then I got to figure out a way to work in an actual question to the audience in that respect. And I mean, another question that's a big one that I talked about with Scriv over on, I'll link the interview in the description, but I did an hour plus long interview with him, and we talked about a lot of things. And one of the things I mentioned there was that I really don't know what the monetization aspect of content creation really looks like. I like to think of it as I'm paying for content that I already experienced. So it's like, it's payment for services rendered. Like when I donate to a Twitch streamer, or I subscribe to them or whatever, or if I am just sending them money through Patreon or something, it's like I've gotten a certain amount of value from your videos, and this is my way of paying you back. It's not the same thing as like, here's some tokens of appreciation so that you can continue your business or whatever. Like, because that puts a disproportionate amount of like, I don't know if responsibility is the right word in that respect, but it's like, it makes the donator seem incredibly gracious, when I would prefer to think of it like the donator is more like a consumer, like a customer who has gotten a service and is now paying for it, although obviously like most people don't think about that. And I think maybe part of that, it might be because especially streamer culture has made people not beg for donations. Well, some of them I guess probably do, but that's not really like how I think most people are thinking about it. But it's almost like trying to make them seem optional, essentially being too self-conscious about potentially seeming like they are begging or whatever. Whereas like I would never say something to the effect of, try to guilt people into it, or try to make people feel responsible for it. But it's more like, if you're enjoying the content, give it a follow, give it a sub, show your appreciation or something like that, I guess. I don't know. But even saying show your appreciation is like, it's almost like you're seeing a fireworks show and you're like, I appreciated this show, but you're not. It's not something that's that passive. Most of the time, people are actually getting real value from the videos, in theory. So otherwise, they wouldn't be here watching them. And so, like in that respect, how do you make it seem like you're not stuck up, especially considering everybody else seemingly does not subscribe to this thought process of people who are donating or supporting financially content creators are doing so because they've essentially like purchasing a product in a way, right? Because nobody thinks about it that way, it seems. Like, how do you make it so that you don't seem stuck up or don't seem whatever the fuck, So it's difficult to think about. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. But that's another question that I would have for the audience as well. Is like, if you're watching this video and you've seen somebody who has put together a sort of monetization system like that, like that you thought was respectable, like even if it's Patreon is a really shitty fucking website, like ethically. But if we were to think about that kind of system where you've got this subscription based, like monthly charge thing, if you saw something where it was framed in a respectable way, I'd be curious as to see some examples and why you thought so. Because if I go back to the Thorin example, he's essentially got a system where he makes sure not to compromise his own integrity or corrupt the what's the term, like the originality or creative control that he has over his own content. He doesn't allow for like crazy input or whatever for people who, just because they happen to support him financially. Like he'll do a show with them if they support a certain amount, but even then he's still like in theory in control. Like they're there because they enjoy his content. So it's a talk show in that respect. Yeah, I guess in theory you could have somebody who like donates a big amount of money just to fuck with him or whatever on one of those shows, but then you just get banned. So like, I don't think that you just get it refunded or whatever. I don't think that would go for very long. So you got that as an example, but you also have like, there was some system where after a certain point, I think it was like a goal that he had, if he gets past a certain amount of money, that he would put together a list of topics or a list of guests or some sort of list of content that he could make. And from that list that he controls, people would be able to vote on what they wanted him to do first or something like that. Like that's an example where he's still ultimately the one in control. He's not allowing anybody else to sort of take control in that respect and direct what he's doing. He's able to do it in a way that still is ultimately his own personal responsibility. And he's just allowing the viewers to influence it or to make their vote count in that respect or whatever. So there's a lot there. There's that's one area where I felt like it was respectable. Making sure that, you're not giving away too much creative freedom to people just because they've purchased something from you. But again, also still feeling like you're purchasing a service in a way. Like the lower tiers of a monthly subscription service would be something like you're paying for the content that you're experiencing, right? So you're paying like $20 or $15 a month or something like that. And that's, that would be a pretty hefty price, I imagine, for most people. So if you just imagine like a $5 tier or whatever, like $5 a month, that's what a Twitch sub is, I think, or maybe it's $2.99 or something. I don't remember what the Twitch subs are, but the idea there is that like, you get to watch this content essentially for free. Twitch takes a cut, streamer gets a cut, or if it's like YouTube or whatever, like YouTube memberships and stuff, it's a similar thing. It's like you're already getting the content for free. This is how you're essentially funding it, And then for a certain tier or above, you might get like additional content. So you get to pay for additional content there. So it's a difficult thing to come around with and try to explain I should write this stuff down in terms of like my thought process on this sort of thing on monetization as a creator or whatever. I feel like I have a responsibility to continue creating the content that I am, just because I think it definitely will have value. It already does. I think, especially in the CS space, it's stuff where I don't see people creating the kinds of content I am, be it for the custom maps, be it for the talk shows or roundtables or whatever the case is. And the interviews as well, like people are making interviews, but not in my style, not to the same level of quality that I can do. I think there's a lot there that a lot of value that I add in the space. And I feel a responsibility to provide that kind of content out there. But obviously I have to make sure that it makes financial sense to do so. And that's another responsibility that I have, I guess more as like a general human, is that making sure that I have the money to pay the bills in that respect. So there's a lot there. There's a lot that is going on there thought process wise. Curious as to what your thoughts are. Leave them in the comments. And while you're there, if you slip and hit the like button, that'd be pretty cool too. I'll catch you guys some other video, some other day. Bye.